Hey friends, Gary here. Welcome to today's video. As some of you guys might already know, and as I said it many times in my video, I love Micro Four Thirds camera format so much, and one of these Micro Four Thirds cameras that is really close to my heart is this beautiful guy right here, the Panasonic Lumix GX8. I bought my GX8 back in 2015 when it was first launched. I was one of the first few people to ever receive the GX8 in Indonesia. Wow, I'm bragging right now. But I love this camera so much. This was my main camera for both photography and video. I took it traveling around the world, taking thousands of beautiful pictures. I was so happy with its performance and image quality, and it was able to handle every crazy things that I throw at it. Also, many awesome people in the awesome Micro Four Thirds community, such as Brian James, the Micro Four Thirds guy, Emily from Micro Four Nerds, Grant Robert Davis, and some other people in the community had at least talked about this guy once in their videos. However, even until today, 10 years later after I bought this camera, I never really talked about this camera specifically in my channel. I never really made a quote-unquote proper review video of the GX8. Why is that? Is this camera still relevant right now? Does it still belong in 2025, the time of recording this video? Or do you actually need something better than the GX8 now that there are plenty of other cameras in the market, like the new OM5 Mark II, OM3, and all these beautiful Fuji cameras, XM5, XE5. Do you need all of these cameras, or is the GX8 enough? Let's find out in today's video. Anyway, let's begin the video by doing a size and design comparison between the GX8 and some other cameras that I have in my collection. Let's start with my smallest camera, which is the Panasonic Lumix GX850, or also known as the GF9. Here's how they look from the front. Definitely the GF9 is so much smaller and lighter, but as you can see from the top here, it doesn't offer as much control and customization as the GX8. Here's how they look from behind. Yeah, same story right here. Next camera is my Panasonic Lumix LX100. As you can see, this is not really a mirrorless camera. This is a compact camera, but it has Micro Four Thirds sensor in it. So here's how they look from the front. Definitely the GX8 is bigger. Here's how they look from the top. And already you can see the LX100 has so much better customizations, buttons and dials compared to the GF9. It is almost as good as the GX8 in my opinion, but it doesn't have enough grip like the GX8's chunkier grip right there. Here's how they look from behind. Plenty of controls on the LX100, but the GX8 offers so much more customization. Both cameras has viewfinder, but the LX100 doesn't have flippy screen. Now here is my newer Panasonic Lumix G100 compared to the GX8. Still smaller. Here's how they look from the front. The G100 is a DSLR style camera, while the GX8 is rangefinder, so the position of the viewfinder is different. Here's how they look from the top. The G100 doesn't have as much customization as the GX8. Here's how they look from behind. They both have good viewfinders, they have flippy screens, but the customization on the GX8 is still better in my opinion. Now here is a non-Micro Four Thirds camera. This is my Sony ZV-E10 that I usually use to record my YouTube videos compared to the GX8 from the front. And here's how they look from the top. The ZV-E10 has good grip, but GX8 is just better. Manual control and customization, buttons and dials on the ZV-E10 is just lacking compared to the GX8. It doesn't even have proper mode dial. Here's how they look from behind. Obviously, the ZV-E10 doesn't have viewfinder, but it still has flippy screen. But again, the amount of customization and buttons that are present in the GX8 is just so much more compared to the ZV-E10. Here's my favorite Panasonic Lumix GX85 compared to the GX8. The GX85 is smaller compared to the GX8, obviously, as you can see right here, but the weight is almost the same. That's kind of weird. Here's how they look from the top. The GX85 has sufficient manual control and customization options, but the GX8 just has so much more buttons and dials going on. Here's how they look from behind. So yeah, same story. We have viewfinders on both camera. We have the flippy screen on the GX8, which the GX85 doesn't have. Only tilting screen. Customization still better on the GX8, but not so bad on GX85. Next, we have my workhorse camera, the G85. It is bigger and heavier compared to the GX8, but not by a lot. As you can see, here's how they look from the front. G85 is DSLR style and GX8 is rangefinder style. Here's how they look from the top. The grip on the G85 is just so much chunkier compared to the GX8. Manual control is about the same, but the G85 doesn't have the exposure compensation dial, but it does have this drive dial thingy right here. Here's how they look from behind. Manual controls and customization functions on both the G85 and GX8 is very comparable. Now here is the GX8 compared to one of my other non-micro four thirds camera. This is the Leica M8.2, real Leica M camera, not just Panasonic Leica camera. But anyway, this is how they look from the front, and the Leica M is definitely much heavier than the GX8. This is how they look from above. The Leica M is just so clean, there's not a whole lot of thing going on except for that very important shutter dial. Here's how they look from behind. Both camera has viewfinders, but the one in Leica is optical rangefinder viewfinder. And yeah, the Leica is just so much more minimalist, while the GX8 has plenty of buttons and dials going on. So as you can see, when you compare the GX8 with some of my other cameras, it actually is not too different from them. Even the newer ones, the layout looks similar, and even I can say that compared to some cameras, the GX8 has better layout and better grip. Also, when we talk about image quality, and right now I'm going to share some beautiful pictures taken using my GX8, it's also not too different between these cameras and some of the newer micro four thirds camera that I own. So when we're talking about image quality, obviously we're talking about the performance of the sensor in the GX8, which is the 20 megapixel sensor. Most of my other cameras have 16 megapixel sensor, but only 4 megapixel difference is not a lot. So I'd still say that it's not an incredible difference between this camera and the other cameras, but for a camera that is 10 years old, I think the GX8 is still very impressive in terms of image quality. It can still take great picture even in 2025. And as you can see from the pictures that I'm sharing right now, all of them look sharp, detailed, contrasty, the colors look nice, dynamic range is more than acceptable, and I'm quite happy to keep using GX8 in the future, specifically in terms of image quality. Now, not only the image quality is still relevant in 2025, I think the performance of the Lumix GX8 is also still relevant today. Now let's talk about autofocus. Well, sure, micro four thirds, the older ones, especially like this guy, is not really good in terms of continuous autofocus. Let's get past that. However, when we're talking about single autofocus, my god, it is so fast, it is snappy, it is accurate, it is very dependable. And then also when it comes to boot time of the camera, when you turn on the GX8, it's ready in a matter of milliseconds. It's just so fast. I can do something like this, just turn on and press the shutter button, and it already took the image. That's so quick, and not all of my other cameras, especially non-Lumix micro four thirds cameras, can do that. I mean, this is so special. This is why I stick to the GX8 for a very long time, because I want to do candid photography, street photography. I don't want to keep turning on my camera all the time. That will definitely drain the battery. But with this quick startup time, just turn on, press the shutter button, you already get the image. You don't have to wait. Awesome. Now, the GX8 also features in-body image stabilizer that works great for still photography. And yeah, as you can see on some of these newer cameras that were being released just now in 2025, some of them don't even have in-body stabilizer, and they cost a lot more than the GX8 when it was released. So yeah, it is still very relevant. Well, yes, the in-body stabilizer of the GX8 doesn't work well in video, but again, for still photography, wow, this is so impressive. What I want to emphasize is that the GX8 is still a very relevant camera. It is still very dependable. I mean, I won't hesitate to use this guy as my main camera for both photography and video, especially for recording B-rolls, as long as I don't need very specific features on this camera. Apart from having great image quality and great performance, the GX8 also has great design. Let's talk a little bit about this rangefinder body style. Granted, it's a little bit bigger from my other micro four thirds cameras, but this rangefinder style body still looks really great. It feels at home, it is comfortable. I really like the layout, especially with the viewfinder on the upper left corner of the body, and then also the buttons and dial layouts. Everything just makes sense. And then one thing about that rangefinder body style that I love in particular from the GX8 is the grip. It's so big, it's so chunky, so nice to hold, make it very comfortable to operate the camera and even to handle larger lenses like my Panasonic Lumix 100 to 300mm f4 to f5.6. I mean, yeah, this grip changes everything. It makes holding the camera for a long period of time very manageable. Speaking about buttons, dials, and layout, manual control with the GX8 is excellent in my opinion. Now this camera becomes the benchmark of my other cameras in terms of controls. We have all sorts of dials and buttons that you need for custom settings. We have exposure compensation here. The mode dial features 3 custom functions. That's rare nowadays. Even my other micro four thirds cameras, they only feature 1 or 2 custom function at most. And then look at the rear of the camera right here. All sorts of different kinds of buttons, function buttons that you can customize to your heart's will. I mean, wow, the customization with this guy is just excellent. And then other than that, I also really love the viewfinder right here. It's so big, it's so bright, it is so detailed. I forgot about the resolution, but one thing for sure is that when you're looking at the viewfinder right here, it feels like you're watching very high definition movie in here. Like, oh my god, I can watch the Avengers again in here or any other movies that I love in the viewfinder. Other than that, the GX8 also has weather sealing, excellent to use especially in rainy condition or if it's snowing outside. And also it has flippy screen and microphone jack, albeit only in 2.5mm. But still, you can use this as a hybrid camera as well. I used this to record YouTube videos back then when I started my channel many years ago, and no problem with that at all. Now, when we combine all of the factors that I mentioned before, image quality, performance, handling, and combine them together, they create this beautiful package, this Panasonic Lumix GX8 that just makes a lot of sense to use. I think the GX8, this is just my own opinion, but of course feel free to argue with me. I think this is Panasonic Lumix finest camera. I mean, this is so different from what they are doing, what they were doing. This is so different from the other brands, the other micro four thirds cameras, or even non-micro four thirds cameras. I never seen a camera with this overall package like this before. Like, this is so unique, and I really appreciate Panasonic being able to just kind of go out of the traditional way being bold, being different, being unique, taking risk, and creating something that's truly unique and just makes a lot of sense once again. Now, being bold, being different, being unique is not enough. Again, as I mentioned, the camera needs to make sense to you. And fortunately with the GX8, when you use it on the field, the camera just sort of integrates with you. It sort of become like an extension to your arm. It doesn't get in the way between you and your pictures. Using it is just very intuitive and so much fun, and it's just inspiring. Well, yes, it is heavy, it is big. When you're looking at the specification, some of the things mentioned there will sound outdated, but when you actually use this guy on the field, my goodness, you will be impressed with the image quality and the performance for sure. Now, looking at some new camera releases, as I mentioned before, from Fuji, XM5, XE5, and then the OM system, OM3, OM5 Mark II, some of the newer Canon cameras and Nikon cameras, I still think that the GX8 can hang out with these new boys. I mean, it's still relevant even in 2025. It doesn't feel that outdated, and I can still think that it can give you some values that some of these cameras can give you. My point is, it's not always about the newest, latest, greatest. Sometimes it's all about just using what you already have and try to maximize its fullest potential. I don't have anything against these newer cameras, don't get me wrong. I love new cameras. They always look great, they always offer something new, they make me learn something about them, and they are just interesting. However, I also don't want to force you to own a GX8. This is just an example from one of the cameras that I already own, and I'm trying to again maximize its fullest potential to use it again extensively in the field, so that I don't always get tempted by the newer, shinier, better cameras in the market. I think this video today is not really a review, but more of an appreciation of the GX8, and hopefully this can give you a new perspective that something that you might already have can maybe perform as good, if not better, than the newer cameras on the market. So don't upgrade just yet. Try to use your camera again. Try to rediscover your passion and joy with this camera. Again, as I mentioned many times in my videos, photography isn't just about the end result. It is also about enjoying the process and having fun. I mean, what's the point if you get really nice picture but you don't love the process of taking that picture? That would be pointless in my opinion. And that wraps up today's video. So that is all for my appreciation for my Panasonic Lumix GX8. Hopefully I can inspire you guys with this video to use the gear that you already have to go out, take more pictures, have fun, and enjoy this beautiful hobby called photography. Hopefully this has been interesting and useful as well, and entertaining to you guys. So please let me know in the comment down below. What is your current favorite camera? Let's have a little bit of a discussion, a chat down below. I'd love to read your comments. And also, don't forget to support my channel by liking this video, sharing this video, subscribing to my channel. And if you want to support my work even further, consider using the affiliate links. That will help me a lot. Use the super thanks button to make a small donation to my channel, or purchase my travel photography ebook called Simplifying Travel Photography. I think you will like that book. And if you want to see more contents from me but from a different perspective, a more relaxing daily vlogs, check out my second channel as well, right here on the info tab above. Thank you, and I will see you on the next video. Goodbye.